Thanks for tuning in to the Dr. Luke Consumer Advocate Show, your place to voice concerns on illegal activity, learn how to avoid scams and Ponzi schemes, and actually make money in the process. We are broadcasting today. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is to take large publicly traded companies to small claims court. I am not a lawyer, so I can't take them to court. In fact, I find lawyers to take big cases to court for me. But the small ones, it's kind of fun, especially when you don't have a law degree. That's the fun part, to take a big, huge company to court and win against attorneys that are from... We have problems with food, eating food that it states it's natural preservatives, only to find out that it's been processed with some strange chemical compound that's probably in a breast implant, who knows. And we're always told everything that we buy does not need to work because it's somewhere stated in the fine print. That's an issue to me.
Who reads the fine print anyway?
You don't read the fine print? So we have to go into our question of the day. I want you to think of a couple of things before we come back. I want you to think about this question because this is the legal question of the day. As an employee, should it be the law or a moral obligation to blow the whistle on your respective company if you know a product or service being released will harm the general public? So in other words, should it be illegal to keep your mouth shut when you know people will be abused from your company's behavior simply to save your job?
Was initiated and management was questioned about it. I had it in writing, but they were instructing me to do it, so they couldn't really deny it.
So in other words, you blew the whistle on yourself.
I was laughing with a few people. I said, how many corporate executives get paid in debit cards? I've never been paid one. I don't...
Oh, yeah, and by the way, they're the same banks also that are denying them home mortgages, too.
Also not violate the instructions that I was being given to be considered insubordinate and get fired.
That's hideous, in my opinion. I don't think too many people would disagree with my thought process on it, but I applaud you for doing what you've done to make sure that you're doing your job correctly. And that's one of the biggest issues that we look at in whistleblowing in the government and within giant corporations is, how do you blow the whistle? How do you get around whatever that is that you're doing? Or, you just don't want to get in trouble. And I've never heard of anybody really blowing the whistle on themselves, but you have done that. In fact, what I'd like to ask you to do, if you don't mind, is we do have every Friday, we have somewhat of a kangaroo court, and we have people jump on and give us an issue, and we let the general public be the judge and the jury of what that issue is and what they think you should do about it. But at the end, we have somewhat of a Dr. Luke Supreme Court with a few lawyers sitting on the court. Well, there are some strange, at every level of the government, strangest things. Another fun IRS story, when I was in there was a gentleman who had been working there for 25 years, and his whole job was just to seize property. And he got written up for passing gas in his office. Not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. He did it so often that the people around him in their cubicles, they got angry about the smell, and he got written up. Welcome back to the Dr. Luke Consumer Advocate Show. I am glad that you're listening to us today here in LA, KRLA. Thanks for being such a great audience, and thanks for your calls. They have been fabulous. We are going to listen to a soundbite to get the answer to our question of the day. And that question of the day is, as an employee, should it be the law or a moral obligation to blow the whistle on your respective company if you know a product or service being released will harm the general public?
Well, a lot of people that are working for large companies end up reporting fraud. In fact, looking back on the Enron case, as I recall, I think it was one female whistleblower that was working in the financial division or in the accounting department that brought down that whole entire organization. And tell me a little bit about how you could blow the whistle on your organization if you know something financially is going on inside that is causing maybe some tax problems, or they're not actually paying for what they should be paying. And tell us how somebody could go fill out a form, report that, and make money off of it.
Sure. In fact, the very best
individuals. The best informant reports that I've ever received were actually from insiders.
Government, there's so many places to blow the whistle. There's federal entities. Each state has a whistleblowing law. It's too much for most people to learn about. So if you have, in fact, there was a big, huge suit on AT&T where they said everybody can have a free telephone. Unfortunately, they got billed around $30 on their bill for their free telephone. Is that free to you, Ben?
Absolutely not.
Do you want a free $30 telephone?
Well, that would be the opposite of free, and that's a lie.
That is a lie, isn't it? And the Supreme Court said, actually, AT&T, you do not have to pay these people back because you have this clause in your contract. Well, that goes back to the start of the show when we were talking about how many of us read our contracts. So now all these people have to go arbitrate with AT&T individually, which is ridiculous when there's hundreds of thousands of people being ripped off. If that's how your company is going to make money, then you need to find another company to run. There's no reason for you to make money off of people by stealing from them. Why don't you create a good product for us that we'll pay for instead of ripping us off? And then we have things like mass actions, which are people that are being harmed by big, huge pharmaceutical companies. I don't know how many people have told me that they have been harmed by a drug where it says it's going to be one thing and it's really causing 42 other effects. And so we have people that are being harmed. Their eyeballs fall out. I don't know what happens. Their arms grow in different directions. They got 19 fingers. If we could just get people comfortable with whistleblowing so it doesn't happen to begin with, it would be wonderful. And if you could learn how to make a lot of money off of whistleblowing, that would be even better. Thank you again. Have a wonderful afternoon.